Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at the final VSTAR from Sword and Shield 10. I've told you recently, we're expecting 4, we'd seen 3, this is the 4th and final one coming in that particular set. Plus, we've got ourselves a very nice grass new supporter and a nice new QRiketoon because I don't know, we might as well pop it in here anyway. And we're going to start off with a rare example of a Pokemon V that I really like, situationally, that has a VSTAR. Generally, the ones that have VSTARs tend to be kind of rubbish. I don't feel that about Hisuian Lilligant. Now, don't get me wrong, I should say all the translations here do come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites. And what we've got here is free energy, 130. It's not good. Nobody cares. But for 0 energy, remember 0 energy attacks are back with Hisuian Pokemon, you get to draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Yes, that'll do very nicely. Now, I'm not here to tell you this is some kind of amazing game-breaking attack. It's not. And I'm not going to pretend for a second that it is. What I am going to tell you is that this is a free attack, and a free attack is super important. We saw this back with Alolan Vulpix for quite a long time. If you've got a free attack, it means you can use your attachment for the turn to attach to your active and retreat, and then still use the attack. Now, don't get me wrong, you do essentially lose that energy attachment because you attach and retreat. It's not ideal, but if you can't find a switch and you don't have a free retreater, etc., this'll work. And there are a whole bunch of decks out there that turn 1 going second don't have a great option, and some of them do. If you're playing an Arceus VSTAR deck and you go second, you're going to want to start accelerating energy. Ideally, you want to use Trinity Charge of a double turbo energy. Not always possible, admittedly, but that's generally what you want to be going for. Mew decks very much want to be using Meloetta. But again, that's not always possible. Yes, we've all had those phenomenal turns where you get a Meloetta hitting 210, turn 1 going second. It's amazing, but we all know that doesn't always work. And in situations where you don't have a good attack or the one you want isn't working, retreat your active, draw till you got 6 cards in hand, it's decent draw power. I don't think it's amazing, but 1 spot in your deck, nice little option, yes, I like it a lot. And also as a handy bonus because we're going for the VSTAR. Speaking of the VSTAR, we go up to 260 HP, which is right in the middle of VSTARs. It's fine, it's not amazing. And we gain a pretty nice attack. Parallel Spin. 2 grass, 1 colourless energy. You may put an energy attached to this Pokemon into your hand. If you do, this attack does 100 more damage. Yes, I like it. And the reason I like it is 230 is a super key number. 220, to be fair, is all you really need. 220 is what you need to get the vast majority of Pokemon V. That'll generally do it. 230 is, 10 more than that. At a choice bout, you go up to 260. And then you're getting some VSTARs like this one. Not all of them, admittedly, but you're getting a decent chunk of them. This is a nice amount of damage. As for putting the card back into your hand, that could be good or bad. You see, on the one hand, putting the grass energy back into your hand is really nice, because if Lilligant gets KO'd, you've got that energy ready to go. If you'd rather have a different attacker next turn, you've got an energy ready to attach to that attacker, which you might not have otherwise. But it means that you're never getting ahead with your energy attachments. If you are reattaching essentially the same energy every turn, if every turn what you're doing is putting that third energy on a Lilligant, you're not advancing your board state. You're not getting multiple attackers rolling, so to putting the energy back into your hand could be really good or it could be really bad. It really could go either way. Great advantages, great disadvantages. But it's a free energy attack that gets a one-hit KO on pretty much any Pokemon V and can take out some V-Stars as well. That's not nothing, ladies and gentlemen. That is not nothing. Also, worth pointing out, it does hit Hisuian Samurott for weakness, and that might not be a big deal now, but we've already seen it on stream this weekend from Japan. I think this is going to be a very good deck moving forward. Hitting it for weakness, you're actually only 10 away without doing the extra damage. So with a choice bout or any way to do an extra 10 damage, you will get a one-hit KO. That's pretty important. As for the V-Star power, Star Parfum. Search your deck for up to 5 grass Pokemon and 5 grass energy in any combination. Cool. That sounds good to me. This is one of those gets you set up attacks. VSTAR powers, some of them you save for the end of the game, some of them you use straight away. This is going to be one of these that more often than not is an evolve up, go for it straight away kind of thing. Not all the time, of course, but generally speaking, you know, if you've got a bench full of basic grass Pokemon, you're going to go and just get a whole bunch of evolutions and energy. I mean, this works wonderfully with Cherim, because Cherim, of course, is at stage 1 that lets you attach as much grass energy during your turn as you like. So, you know, if you've got a Cherubi on the bench, search for a Cherim, go and grab 4 grass energy, attach all of them straight away. That's amazing. Cherim, unfortunately, can only attach to Pokemon that don't have a rule box. Hisuian Lilligant, unfortunately, does have a rule box. Oh, that's really annoying, etc. Can't win them all, ladies and gentlemen. Can't win them all. But for other Pokemon, this is cool. So, what we basically got here is a really nice setup attack on the V for 0 energy. We've got an attack which is decent and does a nice amount of damage, which is lovely. And we've got a V-Star power, which is really nice for setting up. I don't necessarily think any of this is groundbreaking or stunning, but I do think that even though this might not be a deck on its own, the combination of the free attack on the Pokemon V, the V-Star power, and the useful attack is going to make it see some play, even if we might need other Pokemon to pair with it. I don't know, between 3 and 4 Wassies, we don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Man, that already seems a bit too low, but I've said it, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stick by it. But you see, there is another very important grass card that's going to be revealed today, and it is Gardenia's Vigor. Draw 2 cards, then attach up to 2 grass energy from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. This is great. Absolutely great. No, the draw power isn't particularly good, boo hiss, etc. This is kind of like Welder. It's not entirely like Welder. It is actually a worse version of Welder. Welder was attach up to 2 fire energy, then draw 3 cards. This is draw 2 cards, then attach up to 2 grass energy. I.e., you can only attach to the bench, Welder can attach to the active, and you're only drawing 2 cards rather than 3. But there is a gigantic advantage that this has over Welder, and that is that you draw before you attach. Now, it's awkward, don't get me wrong. It's super awkward, but there is a chance here that you're like, look, I really need to attach 2 energy. I've only got 1 energy in hand. I'll just draw 2, hope I draw the other energy. If you're really stuck or you're really feeling lucky, try this with 0 energy in hand. See if you draw 2 grass energy. Not something I would necessarily recommend, but it's an option. Just putting it out there. And I really like this. This is phenomenal. In the same way Welder made fire decks amazing, this makes grass decks amazing. No, it's not exactly the same, because fire also had a bunch of other stuff that really helped out. Giant Half is a lovely example that let you search for 2 fire energy, so you definitely had them in hand. Something like that would be amazing here, and sure, we've got some stuff. For a brief period of time, we've got Training Court. Again, don't get too excited. Training Court's going to be rotating out when we hit the rotation, but we'll have a couple of months of Training Court that we can use for a little while. Lets you put a basic energy you can discard into your hand. And obviously, we've got a pretty redonkulous combo here with the V-Star power of Hisuian Lilligant. Because essentially, you search for the Pokemon you want and a couple of grass energy and a couple other things. Then you play Gardenia, draw 2 cards, attach the grass energy that you know you have to the Pokemon that you've just gone and searched for. Jobs are good 'un, ladies and gentlemen. Jobs are good 'un. To be perfectly blunt, grass decks just got a lot better. Between Hisuian Lilligant and Gardenia, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not exaggerating here. Now, the lovely Antoine Boulet, who is, let's face it, pretty up on this kind of stuff, sent out a super interesting tweet that just said, can you spot when that new Gardenia supporter was announced? And it's an image from, I believe, Macari, showing the price of Delmise V and Delmise V Max. And you'll notice that, you know, it was selling for like 2,000 yen. And now they're selling for an average of about 9,000 yen. Yeah. things escalated. Delmai's VMAX, of course, is a super interesting card. It's one we've all been trying to use for a little bit of a while now, because it's got that attack for free energy 240. That is a nice amount of static. Just free energy 240 is nice. And then you've got as many energy as you like, 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. That is also pretty gosh darn nice. So yeah, this is legit. Dalmai's VMAX is a good card. Now, it is really worth bearing in mind as a little aside, Dalmai's VMAX is not rare in English. Dalmai's VMAX is very rare in Japanese. It is a much more awkward, much more expensive card. And the reason is, they did that amazing set a little while back, still one of the best sets they've ever released. And essentially, what it was you got one pack of every Sword and Shield set that had been released up to that point. And then with that, you would get yourself one promo pack, which got you one random VMAX and a couple of Holo Energy. And it was either a reprint of Cinderace or Morpeko that nobody cared about, or Delmai's or Cramorant. And as it stands, this is where you get Delmai's and Cramorant. This is where they came from, which makes Delmai's way rarer in Japanese than it is in English, which is one of the reasons why the price is hiking as much as it is, because it's not an easy one to get hold of. Essentially, Gardenia makes Delmai's potentially genuinely viable, and it's a super awkward card to get hold of, and that's why we see the price spike we're seeing. And that is just one example of what Gardenia can do. Within minutes of it being announced, people were drastically hiking the price of Delmai's over on Mercari. That is, in Japan, you use Mercari more than you would use something like eBay. It's kind of their equivalent. And if that happened, immediately, and this is going to be in the format for a couple of years, that tells you what players think about Gardenia as an aid for grass decks. Now, the other one we've got here is unfortunately not quite so important. It's QRiketoon, and I like QRiketoon, but I think it's fair to say it's not on quite the same level as the other ones we've been taking a little bit of a look at. So what we've got from QRiketoon here is a rather lovely ability that gives all of your grass Pokemon an extra 40 HP. For what it's worth, we've had this on a Stage 1 Pokemon before. Weirdly, last time it was on a Fairy Pokemon? But the Fairy Floette was a Stage 1 that gave each of your grass Pokemon an extra 20 HP. Now, it was worth bearing in mind, Floette did stack if you wanted it to. This one does not stack, so I suppose that's part of the explanation here. This is fine. I mean, really here, it's down to numbers. If there are a bunch of matchups where that extra 40 HP is going to be a really big deal, then this is perfect. And if there are a bunch of matchups where it's not, then don't. If you're playing something like Hisuian Lilligant, then obviously there is a potential here to just play a 1-1 line because actually they're going to be super easy to search out. Why not? That's not bad. Actually, I have to mention, we did see this before on Shaman Level X and it was plus 40. I just really want an excuse to show off Shaman Level X, if I'm honest with you. Yeah. That had the same ability. My point here is, this is a really nice ability, but it really comes down to how much you need the extra HP. It's rarely going to be a big game-breaking thing. It's often going to be kind of a nice little handy bonus. But you got 90 HP, which means it's searchable with Level Ball. It's searchable with something like Hisuian Lilligant. And that extra 40 HP might be the difference between being KO'd and not being KO'd. If you're playing Hisuian Lilligant and you're up against a deck that can do 280, well, this will save you. If you're up against, if you're playing something like Dalmai's VMAX, as a nice example, then, you're pretty beefy. You are a VMAX at the end of the day. You're going to be hard to KO with 330. Now imagine you've got 370. That's a bit of a difference, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, you can always play around with stuff like Big Charm as well if you really want to take the mick. This is not as important as Hisuian Lilligant. It's not as important as Gardenia. And I'm not going to insult you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, by suggesting for a moment that it is. Because it's not. However, I absolutely am going to tell you it's a nice bonus. I am going to tell you that Gardenia's Vigor is huge. absolutely huge for grass decks, and I'm going to tell you that Hisuian Lilligant has a lot to like about it. I don't know if it would be my main attacker in a deck, but I'm absolutely telling you that I would play it if I'm playing a grass deck, because I love the free attack on Lilligant V, I love the VSTAR power, and free energy 230 is still pretty gosh darn nice. That's what I think. Oh, Gardenia is clearly a 5 Wassy card, I should say, and we'll give QRiketoon 3 Wassies. But make no mistake about it, if you are a person that wants to play grass decks, and I know there are some people, especially over at my Patreon, patreon.com/PTCGradio, who really are, this is good, ladies and gentlemen. This might be the day you've been waiting for quite some time. But for now, I want to know what you think about this and about grass in general, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGradio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.